Okay, class. All right, so let's look at the for loop first. So tell me what the for loop asks for.
For has a wait, what is it?
Yeah, what do I need? So I want to print I, right? As long as it is.
Less than 15 and divisible by
So when I is less than 15, right?
indivisible by 3.
And divisible by 3, right? Now that little piece is was the difficult part on this one, right? That would have been the toughest piece of this, okay? So let's talk about what that looks like. Now, so a for loop is going to have a couple pieces, right? The loop declaration, which is the for, right? So this is where I'm telling Java, this is a for loop, right? This is what I'm going to do. You're going to follow this particular formula. So I have 3 pieces, and I equals 0, right? So this, what is this part here?
Your parameters.
So this is where I'm declaring the variable that I will iterate. Okay? Now, so this means like this is the first value that I'm setting. This is where I'm saying you're going to need to pay attention to this variable and use it throughout the for loop, right? So then the next piece of this, notice that this is divided by semicolons, not commas. Okay? Commas will break it. Okay? So int I equals 0, and then this one is going to be, the next piece of this is the condition, right? So this will be the condition, so the loop will continue as long as this condition is true, right? All right, and then I'm going to have the next, another semicolon, and then this is the iteration, right? This part will be the iteration. Now, we're going to talk about how we do this because there's a couple ways we can do it. So when I come in here, I want to print out I as long as I is less than 15, right? So I'm going to say I is less than 15. Okay? Pretty straightforward. So it will terminate once I is 15. Okay? Now what goes over here? So I could do I plus plus, right? Now if I do I plus plus, then I've got to figure out a way to check to see if I is divisible by 3, right? How do I know if how could I do this? Well, let's just go through. Let's do it this way, right? So if I have I plus plus, and then we come down here, don't remember what we're going to do, so we have an if statement built in, and we've talked a lot about modulus.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
So what is modulus?
It divides it and finds the remainder.
Right. So if I say 1 mod, which is the percent sign, is how you define modulus in Java. 1 mod 2, that means 1 divided by 2, and it's going to be the remainder, right? So what is this? Right. So this is going to be 1, right? So 1 mod 2 equals 1, right? If I did or let's do 1 mod 3, what am I going to get? So 3 divided by 1, right? 1. Okay? If I do 3 mod 3, what am I going to get? 0.
Wait, is this
Because-
part of the for statement?
Yeah, it would be. So I'll show you where it's going to be. It's going to be if, right? If I mod 3 equals 0.
Is that in the curly brace?
Yeah.
Within it?
Right? So if I mod 3 equals 0, then system dot out dot print line. Okay? Now, I would totally take this, right? This would be an absolutely fine way to do it. I'm going to point out, though, that there's an easier way. Does anybody know?
Can you add
Right? So I'm going to do, well, Yeah, so I would need to change a couple things for this to work, right? So let's look what I could do with this. Somebody help me with the if statement again. How does it, or I mean the for loop, how does it work?
For integer I equals 0.
Okay, so I'm going to say for int I what?
Equals 0.
Okay. Do I have to say equals 0?
No.
I can set it to any value. What's the first value that's divisible by 3?
3.
Right? I'm going to do this as long as I is less than 15. Right? And now I'm going to iterate through this. And remember, we talked about iteration. So I can do what? Colin, what'd you say?
I equals to I plus 3.
I equals I plus 3. Right? And then now I just print out I.
Why did you do I equals I plus 3?
So it's always divisible by 3. That's all
Oh, I see.
Okay? So listen, and I want to be very clear about why I chose that formula and why I'm going to ask you to do things like this. You have to be able to think in here, right? You have to be able to think creatively and look for efficient answers to these problems. Now, if you've just memorized that this is always going to look like this, right? Then you really don't understand for loops yet, right? Now, this is okay, and it will work. You've got to memorize that formula, but if you really understand it, then you know I'm setting the initial value, this is the conditional, right? And then this is going to be my iteration. I can iterate based on whatever I want. So I can go up by 3 every time, right? Does that make sense? Okay, that is the for loop. And because I'm going to be real, I want this to be small,